So, you have an autistic ADHD with low CHO line, psychosis, borderline personality disorder, heavy metal poisoning from mercury, cadmium, and lead and aluminum. And you might go, how do you know there's mercury in there? That's the reason why I feel like crying, but I don't know why I want to cry. Mercury specifically has an effect on the brain where it causes emotional disassociation. Self-hatred, PTSD and CPTSD, trauma, neurological PTSD. That's when you have PTSD in your nerves. And inferiority complex. That had a mild self-trust problem. And you wanted him to fix... Oh, and he has a learning comprehension disorder, and you wanted to have him figure out federal pro se and go to court. And then when that didn't work, you were like, calling a bomb threat and punch an officer. Problem with that, ADHD people tend to be very, I don't know if you call the word courageous. They simply don't feel fear correctly. They don't. One of the things that caught my attention about ADHD is they don't perform well under pressure. Yeah. Doesn't perform well under pressure, and I'm going to openly admit that has been a problem with me my entire life. So maybe before I was poisoned with the lead, I had ADHD and I just didn't know it because of my way of handling life, which was I took everything as a joke. That was my primary skill. That was my literal ability growing up. And even if you go and check out the videos, The Church of the Anal Eating Mummy on my page, when I'm talking to Stu, I'm taking everything he says as a joke. Every death threat, every time he broke into my house, I took it all as a joke. This is called disassociation. And I'm going to argue the more heavy metals you have in your brain, the more the easier it is to disassociate. Yeah. So, what am I getting at? I don't have a confidence issue and I don't have a courage issue. What I have is a under pressure issue. And I've never felt this pressure before in my life because I've taken everything my entire life like a joke. Never took a damn thing serious. Even when they made me president of these people, I didn't take that serious. And when you don't take things serious, you don't take responsibility serious. You don't take any of these things serious. Because I couldn't function under pressure. And this was a reason why I began waging war against my own emotions. Because they caused pressure. Emotional, mental pressure. One of the stupider moments I had talking to fucking Blondie's dumbass when I was at Papa John's was he asked me why I raged against my own emotions, and I told him, like, I couldn't think of a good example, but my example I came up with was, I liked this girl, and because I was me, I had a learning comprehension disorder, and I didn't want to pass that on genetically, because that's a defect, I didn't want to date her, or I couldn't date her. And my emotions told me to want her, but I told myself I wasn't good enough. To which he was like, that's a confidence. No, I was like, it's not confidence. There's something physically wrong with me. That is a different type of thing there. Now, we got into that conversation, and then he was like, I would just take the girl. And I was like, yeah, but, and I also said to him, because you're the kind of baboon that has like 40 wives, and you just take every woman you come across, and you're entitled to it because of how you feel. And I remembered this stare from him, as if he couldn't process what I said, because what I said is exactly what he is. He's a baboon. But yeah. But I was thinking about this. This is an opening line to a bad joke. Honestly. It really is. So, this is kind of just what I've been processing recently, is I am no longer my old self, and you can't just go back. You can't go back to the past. The old me had a skill I simply do not have now, and that is to disassociate and take everything like a joke. I'm just here to have fun. I was invincible when I had that psychology. I was invincible when I had a bunch of things from my former psychology. But this feeds into a conversation I had with Blondie at Papa John's, who was like, I'm gonna make you a man, I gotta change you. A narcissist does not know the difference between preserving somebody's psychology and destroying it. In their brains, it's the same thing. Because just like good and bad are the same thing. Just like everything is the same thing. Blondie doesn't know right from wrong. He can't. It's impossible for him. He can virtue signal and pretend he does, but he really doesn't. And that's the sad truth. So, he spoke to me about this guy who was me. And he was like, and they're going to break him, and they're going to destroy his ego, because his ego is massive. It is so big. Which, no. No. My ego was never that big. You see, they attributed my inferiority complex to my need to talk down to people, which is not me actually talking down to people. The sad fact of the matter is I speak in factual anecdotes. I say things that are factual, and then idiots rage against the facts that I have spoken. If you ever hear me say you're a lizard brain, I don't mean that as an insult. I mean that as a psychological evaluation that you operate in the amygdala. This is my autism, by the way. This is what autism looks like. The problem with Blondie is he mistook my autism for ego. And he was like, and he gets rid of the ego, and then the weak parts are in there, and then we're going to start pounding away on those, and then we're just going to keep hurting him. And he went on and on about how you got to hurt people in order to change them. And I was like, there are better ways of changing people outside of hurting them. You can go away now. And he was like, no, there isn't. This is the only way because it's the way my stupid fucking church operates. Well, there's no going back now, but here's the problem. Regardless of all the mental work I've done, the Carl Jung, the shadow self, I was learning about this Albert Bandera guy, like, all the psychological work I've done for myself, I can't reprogram my brain to not have a learning comprehension disorder, and I can't reprogram my brain to not have ADHD. I can't reprogram my brain to not move through pressure, because it literally causes my entire nervous system to seize up and I just stop functioning. And that is a sad truth. That is a sad truth. It's not confidence, which is a misdiagnosis from stupid people who don't know how to diagnose anybody. And they have no business pretending they do. Once again, a malignant narcissist is the most hilarious thing on the planet because they project everything onto everybody. And here's the truth about Carl Jung and the reason why the malignant narcissist is kind of right, but not really. Carl Jung, everybody has the same attributes. They're just not equal in everyone. That's right. You are just as much as capable of murder as Stu or Blondie is. You are just as capable of being something great as they are. And they are just as capable of being losers like you, and they know it, and it terrifies them. That is what their insecurities are. But, where was I going with this? The reason why narcissistic projection looks like psychology when it's actually pseudo-psychology is because everybody has these attributes. The problem is the narcissist goes, I have these attributes, that means you have these attributes. Blondie is nothing but ego. That is why everything in his brain comes back to control, because the ego is nothing but control. And this feeds into his, Carl Jung, and Carl Jung, blah, 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 he popped it, and then Blondie was like, I popped LSD, therefore I have mastered my ego. No, what you did was relieve yourself of your ego, because that is what the experience of popping LSD does. It relieves your ego. It doesn't tame it. It doesn't trim it. It certainly doesn't get rid of it. And the issue is in his brain, once again, it's all the same thing. It is all one fusion. And Blondie or none of the malignant narcissists actually have the ability to see past that. That's why everything will always be a projection. One of the things that came up when I was talking to Blondie was he was trying to explain to me, because I was dirt poor and I came from poor, I wasn't ever supposed to be great and I wasn't allowed to be great, and yet I already did something great. Just a bastard forced his philosophy onto me by poisoning me and breaking the law and committing every atrocity you could do to a person to make sure that his own objective reality reigned supreme. You see, when reality is reality, it is reality. When you force reality onto somebody, that is not reality. That is you making something up. It is fictitious. It is not real. You have just created it by doing what you are doing. I hate these goddamn narcissists. I really do. In a functioning society, the only job for any of these people would be a bullet to the head. That is how I would handle Blondie or any of these church leaders. They would all just get shot. The idea that you're going to destroy your halo brain and then operate in the amygdala. And this even feeds into when I was talking to some of the church leaders and they were explaining to me they can't turn off, they can't get out of the survival brain. Well, thanks to what you people did, I can't get out of the survival brain. So thank you for that, for fucking me up just like you are fucked up. Okay, and this is the problem with traumatized people. They traumatize people. Okay, this is why you shouldn't have trauma centers, which are churches, who go around traumatizing everybody and then telling them it's the better way to be. Be a mentally ill person who's fucking crazy and overreact to everything and drink heavy metals and be stupid. I think I'm going to do a video on cults and explain exactly why. One, if you're poisoned with tetralead, it lowers your neurons. The lower your neurons are, the less critical thinking you can do because you have low neurons. Okay, that's not complicated. And the second thing is the LSD. The LSD creates a group psychology. Somebody that is neurotic and weird would not normally be accepted into the group with their low neuron, tiny neurotic brains. But when they pop LSD, they become acceptable to the group. There you go. And that is scientific, hard fact, and that's not up for debate. And if anybody tries to fight that, you're an idiot. Quit being stupid. I command you to quit being stupid. I gotta ponder and think about ways to overcome immense self-pressure. Because that is the thing stopping me. And the issue is I've wasted time researching confidence only to find out it's not confidence I lack. I have confidence in spades, believe it or not. That's why I can sit here and tell you about this crazy shit without thinking I'm crazy. Thank you.